Rattrap Productions. My door is broken, I found out. So now I'm going to replace the springs. I'm going to show you how to do it. It's easy. Ready? Go! So you want to put this bar on the strut. That's smarter than I would have done. You put that bar on the strut, so now when I loosen the set screw, the strut's going to, or this is going to support it, and the spring won't go anywhere. So I'm loosening up the spring, because this has a bunch of winds in it. There's a lot of energy in it. Take that out. So I have all the tension off of this one. There's no tension on this one because it's broken. You can see it's broken right there. So what I need to do is remove the set screws on that. I need to take it off from the center part. Okay, this axle. I gotta take that off so I can slide these off and then replace them. Okay, so this apparently is a solid axle. I assumed that it was a split axle and it was joined somehow right there, but it's not. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to disassemble one of these wheels. This is the wheel where there's a cable, and it winds up on this wheel, and that cable is responsible to bring the door down safely. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to take this wheel off, take this axle off, slide the springs off, put the new springs on, put the wheel back, yada yada yada.
You want to take them both sides? You can take them both off of one side.
So I have a professional door guy here, and he's telling me how he does it, and he does it way different than I would do it. I'll tell you what I would have done. I would have disassembled this on one of the sides to take it off, but instead he's like, well, this is just a bearing housing, so it can turn. I assumed that you couldn't take this out of that bearing housing, so I would have taken that off. But he said, no, just pound on it. So he pounded on the side of this, and I pulled that way, and the whole shaft went that way, so now I can access it. Pretty cool when you got a professional.
The left wound spring goes on the right side of the door. The right wound spring goes on the left side of the door.
Wound goes
You
on
need
first.
to wind up on the spring and wind with the wire.
Okay.
The way you tell this is the right wound spring, the tail on the bottom points to the right. When you're on the door, you will wind with the wire, you will wind up, and you are winding with the spring.
Mm-hmm. But I'm standing in line at the store going, there's an RW and an LW, so I had to figure that out on the fly.
Take your plastic bearing and put it on there as well.
And that went this way. Be careful when you do this, because obviously this whole thing can come down on your head and mess your face up.
5 inches, you can tell where it was, Joe. You're going to have a mark on that shaft.
Oh, I see.
Ideally, if you can put it where it was.
Ideally, for the
Ideally,
ideal door.
put it where it was. Therefore, when you put that drum back in that shaft, you see them little dents in that shaft?
You
You
get
try
on the
and
same
get those set screws back in them same holes.
Yeah, that moved. Needs to go this way.
There you go. Turn down.
Okay. Okay, Okay, so I'm gonna wind the spring, and I'm gonna wind it 32 times because you wanna go 7 or 8 turns, but you can only turn a quarter around every single time, so do your math. Do your math, children. I loosen this way, so I'm tightening this way. 2, 32. So then I'm going to take that bar, put it against the strut.
And take your hammer and hit the spring on top. So this cone will move out maybe an eighth to a quarter of an inch.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine. That will stretch that spring so it will not bind up. A half to 3/4 return after you hit the set, after you hit the shaft should be fine.
Okay. Whoopie-ding!
Watch out now, hold on.
Now I gotta do the other side. And this is just where we're gonna start, because I'm sure we're gonna operate it and see if it works the way it's supposed to work, and if it doesn't work the way it's supposed to work, then we're gonna put more turns on it, or fewer turns on it. So this guy I'm turning up as well. 1. So when you measure these, you should always add 2 inches when you're replacing it, or subtract 2 inches. Okay, so the door's lifting up, so I have too much on it. And it said 7 to 8, we went 8, that's too much, so we're gonna back it off like maybe 2 turns, maybe a half a turn for a half a revolution each. Okay, so I'm gonna take 2 of these off. 1, 2, that's a half a turn. Okay, now I'm gonna tighten it back up. All right, so as it turns out, we only actually had to take a half turn from one of the springs. What was happening before is the door was staying like right here, and that means that the spring's just too tight. Last thing you should do is take some WD-40 or lube oil or something like that and get every single one of these things and then just visually inspect everything, make sure that it's okay.